Okay, well, we're embarking on the second half of the real life season. We're now, I guess, a little bit into the second half of the fantasy season, and it's still not too late to make some bold moves that can change your fate. So I'm looking at some hot takes, some stances that I think are important when evaluating what to do in the second half.
All right. Let us start with Joseph Wool can still be a league winner, which is interesting considering he hasn't played in a while. We don't seem to know when exactly he's coming back, but the Toronto Maple Leafs could use him.
Yes, I have not budged from this take. I said it at the start of the season. I still think it's true. If anything, everything that's happened while he's out just confirms it for me. So we know Elias Samsonov, it's been a real adventure for him. He's not been good enough. Even Martin Jones had a really hot run, but he's still Martin Jones. He's still a third string goaltender in his mid 30s, and the bubble is starting to burst there. He's been struggling a little bit more lately, too. It's just a reminder that this net is still Joseph Wool's to take. He's got the high ankle sprain, of course. He is traveling with the team, so to me, that suggests he's weeks away, not necessarily months away. And that means he can still probably help your team if you're still afloat, if you have room to stash him on your bench. The door is just wide open for him. He's still top 10 in the NHL in save percentage at .916. And I think this is going to be your guy. If he gets healthy in time, he could be, if he's your third goalie, for example, you have him stashed, that could be a massive advantage for your team down the stretch. I don't anticipate the Leafs making a trade for another goalie unless they know Wool is going to be out. Like, if he has a setback. Other than that, he's going to be the guy. I'm very confident in that. And he's someone you want to have stashed away.
Now, he might be a league winner, but is he going to win anything meaningful in real life this season?
I don't know. I mean, this version of the Leafs, the thing about them is I wondered this before the season because I predicted they'd be a lot worse. They just look like a much worse team on paper. But I'm like, maybe they need to be one of those teams that gets in as a 7 or 8 seed and is really battle tested and they make the playoffs on the final day of the year. And then they friggin' go on a run and make the Stanley Cup final. Sometimes those teams fare better than the ones like the recent Leaf teams that knew their opponent were sort of locked into their playoff spot in January or even December. So who knows? This could be good for them. They're going to be a lot more tested down the stretch.
Yeah, you look at the Florida Panthers last year. They had to fight to the death to make the playoffs, and then they go out there and make it to the Stanley Cup final. But the Leafs, last couple of years, it's like like you said, by January, it's like, all right, we're playing Tampa. All right, let's just kind of cruise to then. And it kind of makes a lot of those games very meaningless, especially at the end of the season last year when they were like bringing up a different emergency goalie every single day for like a week. And it's like, okay, you guys are really taking this seriously, are you? Hot take number 2, the Buffalo Sabres offense isn't going to wake up. Yeah, it's been kind of a rough go for this group.
Yeah, this disappoints me because they were so exciting last year. They were top 3 offense in the league. They were just entertainment incarnate. And I say this as someone who just traded for Tage Thompson. So I've just been keeping an eye on them. And this is the 25th ranked offense in the NHL. They're 26th on the power play. They're near the bottom of the league in terms of generating high danger chances. Some of it, yes, can be attributed to the injuries. They haven't had all of their forwards healthy at the same time. But overall, they're just not playing the same this year. They're a bit more conservative. They're less high octane. Maybe they're playing tighter because they felt they had something to lose with so much pressure to make the playoffs. And ironically, it's changed their identity and made them not as good of a team. But either way, if you're kind of holding your breath, I'm talking redraft. So yes, I traded for Tage Thompson because I still have faith that they're going to figure it out next year and beyond. But if you're looking at what to do with Erasmus Dahlin or Tage Thompson or Alex Tuch, all those guys right now, I am not that optimistic that we're going to see Buffalo wake up and get hot down the stretch. I feel like it would have happened by now. So I'm kind of out on the Sabres in the short term for the rest of the season in fantasy in terms of a place that's a fertile environment.
Now, a lot of us expected the Sabres to take a big step forward this year. Do you see that now next year?
I hope so. The talent is still there. I just think they have to change a bit of personnel. I think our Scott Maxwell at Daily Faceoff had a good piece earlier this year that it's the veterans that are holding them back. They have a bit of dead weight there. Some guys like bringing in Eric Johnson, that move was doomed to fail from the start. He's a bit of an anchor, right, on possession, things like that. So I think they just have to make better decisions with which veterans they're bringing in. Maybe they have to spend some of that cap space and bring in a high impact veteran this time. We'll see.
All right. And the third and final hot take is Leo Carlsson on the Anaheim Ducks is going to put himself on the map.
Yeah, I'm very curious for your take on this one too, Stephen. But if you look at what's going on in Anaheim, obviously Zegras is out. Cutter Gauthier is not coming unless he turns pro late in the year, but he's probably not going to make a big impact this year. Adam Henrique probably going to get traded. So the opportunities are going to continue to be there for Leo Carlson as pieces are getting removed from that lineup. And we know he's had that load management. He had the knee injury that cost him some time. But I'm not expecting this load management thing to stick all season, because if you're not giving him a full workload down the stretch, then what are you doing? Are you going to have to load manage him next season too? If his body's not used to it, it makes no sense. They've got to play him, and I suspect they will get him into more of a rhythm in the second half. And this is a very exciting player, someone who I know you were very high on in his draft year. I see some kind of Anze Kopitar type of qualities, big guy, two-way game, can score a fair amount, drive the play as well. And he's already, just even in limited time, he's at a 25 goal, 55 point pace roughly. So I think he's someone that's going to make an impact, especially in deep leagues. I think you want Leo Carlson in the second half. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the Ducks' top scorer from here on out. What do you think of that take?
I 100% agree. Like right now, we're looking at him, the over 50-point pace in the whole season, but he's still looking like he's going to get 40 points this year, 20 goals or so. So, um, you know, I wrote right off the bat that don't count him out of the Calder race. That was before it was clear they were going to do this load management stuff. But he's been playing pretty damn good otherwise. Like he's still been a top 10 rookie throughout the whole season. So with the Ducks, like you said, they're going to be making some moves here. They're going to be start focusing on next year, give them that opportunity to be a leader. And then we know they're going to get a pretty good draft pick again next year. So, or next year. So, I'm excited to see what this team's going to be doing long term. I'm a huge Anaheim Ducks believer. Leo Carlson, I feel like, was almost underrated last year because of how good Bedard was, how good Fantilli was, and people may have forgotten that putting up about half a point per game, or just over half a point per game, actually, in the Swedish Hockey League at his age was actually quite unbelievable. Something that's very rarely that we ever see. So I'm a huge Leo Carlson believer. So I like this one.